Today on Sugar Spun Run, I'll be showing you how to make homemade ladyfingers. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, if you have never made a ladyfinger before, then you should know that they are not at the top of my list of cookies that I would recommend trying if you just want to eat them by themselves. Ladyfingers are kind of dry, spongy-like cookies that honestly don't have a whole lot of flavor on their own. So you're probably wondering, why do we even bother making them at all? And the reason is because they are a critical ingredient for making homemade tiramisu. Now, some people like to just buy ladyfingers from the store, but I've found that they can be tricky to find in the store, and as a lot of you know, I prefer to make everything homemade anyway, so today I'll be teaching you how to make your own ladyfingers in order to make your own tiramisu. I'll be sharing that video soon. Now to get started, you'll want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. For today's recipe, you are going to need a total of 6 large eggs, but you are going to want to separate them into a bowl of egg whites and a bowl of egg yolks. Now for your whites, it is so important that the bowl you break them into is completely clean, completely dry, and completely grease-free. We can set the yolks aside for now because we're going to start with our egg whites. We'll begin by whipping these egg whites to soft peaks. I really recommend using an electric mixer for this because while it can be done by hand, it is a ridiculous arm workout to do it that way. So here we have soft peaks, where the peaks that form when you pull the batter out of the mixture fold over on top of themselves and slowly dissolve back into the rest of the whites. At this point, you'll want to measure out a ½ cup of granulated sugar, and with your mixer on medium speed, we will gradually add this sugar until we reach stiff peaks. I usually add about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half at a time, and then stir for about 10 seconds after each addition. This helps the sugar to be incorporated gradually and dissolve appropriately. Once you've added all the sugar, you can gradually increase the speed to high and continue to mix until you have stiff peaks. It took a little while, but we finally have stiff peaks, which means when you pull the beaters out of your mixture, the peak that forms both in the bowl and on the beater holds its shape and doesn't fall back in on itself or fold over. Now set your egg whites aside for now and go ahead and grab those egg yolks that you prepared earlier. We're going to add a ½ cup of granulated sugar, a ½ teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now use your electric mixer again to beat these ingredients together until they are lightened in color and increased in volume. It is going to take another few minutes to do this. All of this mixing is really important to give these ladyfingers the appropriate spongy texture that they're supposed to have. So with an electric mixer, that should only take about 30 to 60 seconds, not a couple minutes. So we're about to combine all of our ingredients, but as is typical of me, I mixed my egg whites in a bowl that's a little bit small to combine anything else in with it, so I'm going to transfer these to a larger bowl. Now we'll add our egg yolk mixture. And we'll sift in our dry ingredients at this point as well. We're going to be adding 1½ cups of all-purpose flour and 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. We'll sift these over our egg white and egg yolk mixtures. Now very gently, you'll want to use your spatula to just fold the ingredients together until they're completely combined. You want to have a very light and spongy mixture, and we just went through all of that work to really whip that air into our eggs, so you want to be really careful that you don't deflate it any more than you have to. Now to pipe the ladyfingers, you are going to want to fit a large piping bag with a ½ tip. This is the Wilton 1A tip that I'm using today. Place as much batter as we can in our piping bag. Now to pipe the batter, I like to line a baking sheet first with parchment paper, and then we'll pipe about 4-inch long lines, and you want to space them at least 2 inches apart. So I'm not sure if you can tell, but as I'm piping these, I'm not piping lines that are only a ½ inch wide. I'm slowly piping so that they're a little bit thicker. If you'd like, before baking the cookies, you can lightly sprinkle them with a little bit of granulated sugar. Now take these over to your 350 degree Fahrenheit oven, and you'll want to bake one tray at a time for about 15 to 17 minutes or until they're a light golden brown in color. these cool for about 5 to 10 minutes on the baking sheet, and then you can transfer them to a cooling rack to cool completely. And that is how you make homemade ladyfingers. Now, if you are using these for tiramisu, as I recommend you do, you will want to let them get stale before you use them. To do this, just let them sit out on the counter uncovered for a night or even 2 nights before using. I hope you guys enjoyed today's recipe. It might not be the tastiest one I've ever shared, but it's really important for a good tiramisu. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. I mean, they're all right.